Two black teenagers walked into a car dealership with nothing but excitement and respect. Minutes later, they were kicked out for looking like trouble. The next day, their billionaire father showed up, not to yell, but to make sure the whole world saw what really happened. The sun was heavy over Tempe that afternoon, one of those dry, slow-moving Arizona days where the heat hums through the concrete. Noah Sterling had just finished track practice, his gray t-shirt clinging to his back as he walked beside his sister Chloe across the parking lot of Madison Auto Gallery. They weren't there to cause trouble. In fact, Noah had been talking about this stop all week. "I'm not saying I'm getting a car today," he said, adjusting the strap of his gym bag, "but I want to see what they've got. Maybe something used, just to get an idea before my birthday." Chloe chuckled, flipping her braids over her shoulder. "You really think Dad's going to let you drive yourself to school in a two-door coupe?" "Come on," he smiled, but his steps didn't slow. "Let me dream." The dealership lot was quiet, sleek silver sedans lined up under sun-faded flags. The glass doors shimmered in the heat, and the two walked in like any pair of kids with a few questions and wide eyes. Inside, the air conditioning was sharp, cutting through the outside warmth. A middle-aged man in a pale blue dress shirt looked up from behind a counter. His eyes landed on Noah first, then slid to Chloe. They were dressed clean, Noah in athletic gear, Chloe in a simple dress and sneakers. Nothing wild, nothing loud. Still, the man stood up fast. "Can I help you?" His voice was clipped. Noah, always polite, stepped forward. "Yeah, just checking out some cars. Maybe looking for something used? My birthday's next month, and—" "Do you have an appointment?" the man interrupted. He was already walking toward them. Noah hesitated. "No, we don't allow unsupervised minors in the showroom," he cut in, glancing quickly at a coworker across the room. "Company policy." Chloe's face shifted. "We're not touching anything." "Still, this isn't a hangout spot." His tone had turned colder now. "You can look at the website if you're interested." The silence that followed was thick. Noah opened his mouth, then closed it again. Chloe's fingers curled tightly around the strap of her bag. "We'll leave," Noah said quietly. And they did. No yelling, no pushing back. Just a slow walk back across the pavement, Chloe holding her breath the whole time. She waited until they were in the back seat of the Uber before she spoke. "That man looked at us like we were nothing." Noah nodded once, barely. His jaw clenched. He tapped his phone screen, checked the ride time, stared out the window. Chloe watched her brother's reflection in the glass. She didn't like how quiet he'd gone. He wasn't a loud person to begin with, but this was different. It wasn't silence. It was restraint. She'd seen that look on their dad's face once before. "You're not going to tell Dad, are you?" He didn't answer right away. "No, I don't know," he finally said. "I don't even know what to call it. It's not like the guy said anything crazy. He just didn't want us there." Chloe leaned back. "It felt crazy to me." Neither of them spoke the rest of the ride. They didn't have to. They both knew what had happened. But the man at the dealership had no idea who he'd just kicked out. And by the next morning, he was going to find out. The Uber curved through the hills of Paradise Valley, where the houses got bigger, quieter, and more spread out the higher up they went. Behind the tinted windows of the black SUV, Chloe sat with her arms crossed, still simmering. Noah stayed silent, phone in hand, screen off. His mind was elsewhere. Their house came into view, a modern white and stone property tucked behind a discreet gate. Not flashy, but expensive in that way only old money, or very smart money, ever looks. Their father, Marcus Sterling, had built his tech empire from nothing, starting out with hardware repairs and Flagstaff before striking gold with a data security startup. These days, people mentioned his name in Forbes articles and Silicon Valley panels, but around here, he just went by Marcus. The kids walked in through the side entrance and dropped their things by the bench near the kitchen. The house smelled faintly of cedar and clean linen home. Their housekeeper, Mrs. Davies, looked up from the dining table where she was folding towels. "Hey, y'all. Everything good?" "Yeah," Chloe mumbled. Noah didn't answer. From down the hall, their father's voice traveled. "Noah." He appeared in the hallway seconds later, still in his navy polo, barefoot, holding a tablet. "You're back early." Noah gave a shrug. Didn't end up staying long. Marcus noticed the slump in his son's shoulders right away, the way he avoided eye contact. He glanced at Chloe. Her face said more than she probably meant it to. "What happened?" Noah stayed quiet. Marcus set the tablet down and folded his arms. "Noah." Chloe sighed. "Some guy at the dealership said we weren't allowed in." Marcus frowned. "Which dealership?" "Madison Auto Gallery. Off University Drive." He said, "What exactly?" Noah rubbed the back of his neck. "Didn't want us looking around." said they don't let minors in without a parent. Accused us of hanging out. Marcus didn't move for a long moment. His eyes narrowed slightly, not with anger, but with focus, that slow, deliberate calculation that meant he was thinking 2 or 3 moves ahead. What did you do? We left, Noah said. Didn't want to cause a scene. That landed hard. Charles took a breath, stepped into the kitchen, and poured a glass of water. He handed it to Noah before speaking again. You did the right thing. You hear me? Noah nodded once. But then his father sat down at the counter stool and looked directly at him. I want you to understand something. You are not less than anybody. I don't care if you walk in wearing track clothes or a tuxedo. You carry yourself right. And if someone chooses to see you as a problem, that's on them, not you. Chloe leaned against the fridge, watching. Marcus continued, voice low and even. But you should also know this. Silence isn't always strength. Sometimes you let people get away with small things, and they keep doing them to the next person. Then the next. Noah swallowed hard. So, what are you going to do? Marcus didn't answer right away. He looked at both of them, then stood up and pulled his phone from his pocket. I'm going to have a conversation. Chloe blinked. With who? With whoever's running that place, he said, walking out of the room. Tomorrow morning. The next few hours passed with an odd kind of stillness. No raised voices, no frantic calls. Marcus made dinner like usual: grilled salmon, asparagus, rice. They ate as a family, but something had shifted in the air. It wasn't anger, it was purpose. That night, Noah stared at the ceiling for a long time before falling asleep. He wasn't sure what his dad meant by a conversation, but he had a feeling it was going to be louder than any shouting ever could be. And across town, the man at the dealership had no clue that a storm was already on its way. Madison Auto Gallery opened at 9 o'clock a.m. Sharp. By 8:45, the staff had already started trickling in, keys jangling, coffee cups in hand, sunglasses still on. The usual Monday rhythm. Brian Keller, the assistant sales manager, leaned against the front desk with his iced Americano and scrolled through his phone. He didn't recognize half the names in his inbox anymore. Turnover was high. The job paid, well, if you knew how to sell, and he knew how to sell. By 9:03, they had one customer in the lot. A navy blue Rolls-Royce Phantom, gleaming under the Arizona sun. It didn't pull into a regular space. It didn't idle in the back. It glided right up to the front doors and stopped. No one got out at first. Brian glanced at the receptionist, then stepped around the desk. You expecting an appointment? Nope, she said, eyes locked on the car. Then the door opened. Out stepped a tall man in a dark blazer, slacks sharp enough to cut glass, shoes polished like a mirror. He moved slowly, calmly, no wasted steps. He pushed the glass door open and stood at the entrance for a moment. Good morning, he said, voice smooth but firm. I'm looking for your manager. Brian hesitated. I'm the assistant manager. What can I help you with? The man looked at him directly. You're not who I need. That's when Richard Vance, the general manager, came out from the side office stall, red-faced, always looking a little too stressed. Morning, he said quickly. I'm Richard. Can I ask what brings you in? The man reached into his jacket pocket and handed him a card. Richard read the name slowly. Marcus Sterling, founder and chairman, TNS Global. He looked up, his face beginning to pale. Wow, sir. I wasn't expecting. I imagine you weren't, Marcus replied, stepping further inside. I won't take much of your time. Richard gestured to his office, eyes flicking toward Brian. We can talk in here. But Marcus didn't move. No need for privacy. This is a public place. I'll only speak for a few minutes. Richard nodded stiffly, clearly uncomfortable. Of course. Go ahead. Marcus looked around the showroom. Yesterday, 2 kids walked in here. One was my son, the other my daughter. Richard blinked, his throat bobbed. I see. They were told they weren't allowed to browse. That they should leave. That this place wasn't for them. Sir, we have. Marcus held up a hand. I'm not here to argue. I'm not here for a refund. I didn't lose anything yesterday. But you did. You lost the chance to do right by 2 young people who were raised to treat others with respect, even when it's not returned. A few other employees had started to drift closer, pretending to straighten papers or clean counters. Marcus continued, My children are not troublemakers. They're thoughtful, intelligent, raised with care, and they don't need your validation. But they should have been treated like people, not like threats. Brian looked down at his shoes. The receptionist had stopped typing entirely. Richard cleared his throat. Mr. Sterling, if I may. I'm not asking for an apology, Marcus said. Apologies are easy. What matters is what you believe when nobody's watching. What decisions you make when you think no one's going to call you on it. He paused. Let the silence breathe. Because next time, it won't be my kids. It might be someone who doesn't have a father with a media contact list. And they'll walk out of here with a memory you won't ever hear about. But they'll remember it for the rest of their lives. Then he turned to go. But just before he pushed the door open, he added without looking back, "You can sell luxury without being small. I hope you figure out how." Outside, a small group had gathered. 2 people recording on their phones, 1 local reporter on a tip, and a woman holding a mic. Marcus hadn't called them. Word had just traveled. The air outside had shifted, not in temperature, but in weight. Marcus stepped down onto the dealership pavement with calm, deliberate ease. His expression didn't flicker at the sight of the small crowd forming. 2 local college students stood off to the side with their phones out, quietly whispering to each other. One woman from KXME5 News was already mid-sentence, murmuring in her mic, unsure if she was even live yet. Marcus didn't raise his voice. He didn't look for a podium. He simply stopped near the front door, adjusted the sleeve of his jacket, and spoke. "I wasn't planning to say anything today, but I know how this works. If I don't say it now, someone else will try to speak for me." He looked up, scanning the few faces staring back. "My son, Noah, and my daughter, Chloe, came here yesterday afternoon. They weren't loud. They weren't messing with anything. They came here to look like any other young person with a little excitement in their chest and a dream in their head." His voice didn't waver. It wasn't loud. It was quiet, so quiet it made people lean in. But they were asked to leave. Not because they broke a rule, not because they touched something they shouldn't have, but because someone decided they didn't belong here. That they were a problem before they said a single word. The college student holding the phone let out a soft breath, shaky with emotion. Marcus went on, "I've worked my whole life to build something that would last. And I've taught my children that what you build doesn't just sit in your bank account. It lives in how you treat people, in the everyday decisions, the ones you make when nobody's watching." He paused again, not for drama, but because the next words meant something. "Yesterday, someone looked at my children and didn't see who they were. They saw who they assumed they were, and they dismissed them. You don't need to raise your voice to be disrespectful. You just need to make someone feel small in a place they were excited to walk into." Behind the glass doors, Richard stood watching, hands shoved deep in his pockets. Marcus looked over his shoulder briefly, then turned back to the people in front of him. "I'm not asking anyone to cancel this place. I don't believe in that. I'm not even angry anymore. I'm just tired of seeing this pattern over and over again. Good kids being made to feel like criminals before they've done anything wrong. That kind of thing sticks. And if no one speaks on it, it just keeps happening." A few more bystanders had stopped on the sidewalk. A delivery guy across the street lowered his sunglasses to get a better look. "I showed up today because my children didn't deserve that kind of treatment. And because I want them to see that when something's wrong, you don't just swallow it. You face it with clarity, with dignity, and without letting it turn you into what you're standing against." He stepped back toward the Rolls-Royce, hand on the door handle. "One more thing. My kids walked out yesterday with their heads up. That says everything about them, and nothing about the man who tried to shrink them." He opened the car door and got in without another word. The crowd didn't cheer. No one clapped. They just stood there, processing what they'd heard, what they'd seen, and what it said about everything else. Inside the dealership, Brian slowly sat down. The receptionist had tears in her eyes and didn't know why. Richard Vance remained by the window, arms stiff by his side. But even he knew it was too late to control the story now. By that afternoon, the first video hit Twitter, then Instagram, then the news. And the story began to take on a life of its own. By lunchtime, the story had slipped out of local hands. What started as a shaky, vertical phone video recorded by a college freshman named Jessica Bell had already crossed 2 million views on X, formerly Twitter. The caption read, "This man just walked into a dealership that disrespected his kids and handled it with so much class I'm actually speechless." People weren't just sharing the video. They were dissecting it, freezing frames, zooming in, debating tone, arguing in threads. Under one post, a woman from Flagstaff commented, "Marcus Sterling fixed my dad's laptop in 2001 and wouldn't take a dime. That man's been built different from the start." Others weren't so kind. One account, anonymous profile picture of an eagle, commented, "Why didn't the kids just say who their father was? Sounds like they want to play victim." And just like that, it snowballed. Morning talk shows picked it up. Good Morning Phoenix aired a segment titled, Billionaire father calls out discrimination at Tempe car dealership. Within hours, the dealership's Yelp rating dropped from 4.2 to 2.1. Dozens of one-star reviews popped up like weeds. Rude and dismissive staff. Treated my teenage son like a criminal. Never going back. If you're not wearing a suit and tie, don't bother walking in. They'll ask you to leave before you even say a word. Of course, not all the backlash came from strangers. Local activist groups began circling the story too, pushing for conversations about youth perception and everyday bias. And in the middle of it all, the dealership released a statement of bland, two-paragraph apology posted on their website and Instagram page. We regret the recent experience that took place at our showroom and are actively reviewing our policies. We strive to provide a welcoming environment to all guests and take these matters seriously. The comments beneath it said everything. You're only sorry because you got caught. Reviewing policies? How about reviewing your employees? This apology has the warmth of a parking ticket. Behind the scenes, Richard Vance was scrambling. He'd already called 2 PR consultants, both of whom told him the same thing. Say less, lay low, and do not try to spin it. But the internet didn't care about PR cycles. People wanted transparency. They wanted names. They wanted action. Meanwhile, Noah and Chloe sat at home, both phones blowing up with messages. Some from friends, others from numbers they didn't even recognize. Chloe showed her brother one that made them both laugh despite everything. Girl, is it your dad on the news? Tell him to run for office or something, I'm dead skull. But then came the harder ones. Why didn't y'all just walk away? Ain't nobody owe you a car. Not everything is about race. You probably thought you were skipping school. So what? Rich people want sympathy now. Noah stared at his screen, jaw tight. Chloe nudged his shoulder. Don't read that stuff. He didn't respond. He was still scrolling. Their father entered the room, holding 2 mugs of tea. Phone's down, Marcus said. Just for now. Noah hesitated. Then finally he set his phone face down on the table. Chloe followed. Marcus sat across from them, leaned in slightly. You two didn't ask for this. But sometimes life decides your story's bigger than just you. Chloe frowned. But we didn't even do anything. We just walked in. I know, he said. That's what makes this so real. You did everything right, and still, someone saw you wrong. Noah stared at the tabletop. Is it always going to be like that? Marcus let the question sit in the room for a while. No, he said. But you'll face it again. And when you do, you decide who you want to be in that moment. Outside the house, reporters were still circling. Inside, something stronger than anger was taking root. Awareness. And awareness doesn't go away. The sun dipped lower behind Camelback Mountain, casting long shadows across the Sterling backyard. It had been 2 days since Marcus spoke at the dealership, 2 long, quiet days of headlines, messages, and public noise. But here, behind the hedges, it was still. Marcus stood at the grill, flipping salmon fillets with a slow rhythm. Noah sat at the patio table, elbows resting on his knees, looking out over the lawn. Chloe leaned against the railing, her face buried in her hoodie. No cameras, no questions. Just family. You know, Marcus said, not looking up, when I was 16, I saved up for 2 years to buy my first car. 94 Corolla, faded red. Had to roll the windows down by hand. Chloe glanced at him. You said it had no AC, right? None. Marcus chuckled. Phoenix summer nearly cooked me alive. But I love that car. Not because it was nice, because I earned it. Noah finally turned his head. You ever get treated like that? Like we did. Marcus nodded once. More times than I could count. Walked into stores and got followed. Tried to get bank loans and got laughed at. One time I got denied service at a diner in Tucson. Sat there with my code books in my lap and everything. Didn't make a scene, just left. But why not say something back? Noah asked. Like you did now? Marcus flipped another fillet. Because back then, I didn't think my voice mattered. I thought keeping my head down was the only way to move forward. He paused. But I was wrong. The grill hissed quietly. That's the thing, son. You spend enough time swallowing disrespect, you start to forget what being seen feels like. And I never wanted that for you. Or for your sister. Chloe sat down beside her brother. Well, you definitely made sure we got seen. Marcus looked at both of them now. Being seen isn't enough. You gotta be ready for what comes with it. The praise, the criticism. The people who will love you for standing up, and the ones who will hate you for it. Noah looked down at his hands. I didn't even want it to be a thing. I just wanted to look at a car. I know, Marcus said. That's what makes it powerful. You weren't performing. You were just living your life. And someone didn't like what that looked like. They sat with that for a moment. I'm proud of you. Marcus added. Both of you. You didn't shout. You didn't try to prove anything. You just stayed true to who you are. Chloe shrugged. It didn't feel brave. It's not supposed to, he said. Bravery's quiet most of the time. It's just not backing down from being decent in a world that sometimes isn't. A long silence settled over the yard. Then Chloe smirked. So, are we still looking for a car or what? Marcus grinned. I thought you'd never ask. Noah sat up straighter. Wait, for real. Marcus tossed a set of keys across the table. They landed near Noah's hand with a soft clink. Check the garage tomorrow, he said. But it's not about the car. It's about who you become while driving it. That matters more than anything with an engine. Chloe leaned in her brother, teasing, You better not crash it on the first day. Please, Noah shot back. I'm driving like it's made of glass. Marcus laughed, and for the first time in days, the weight of the moment started to lift. Some stories end with outrage, others with silence. But this one ends with a lesson. Sometimes the best way to fight back is to stay standing. Calm, honest. If this story made you feel something, share it. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that challenge, connect, and remind us who we really are.